We're going to show you how to clean and disassemble your TX22. Now keep in mind this will apply to all the TX22s in the series, so when you look at the compact or the standard size or even the competition, these are all going to disassemble and clean the same function, okay? So the first thing that we're going to do is go ahead and unload Show Clear by removing the magazine, pulling the slide back to make sure there's nothing in the chamber. And I like to run that slide a couple times just to verify. The next thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to pull this slide back just a little bit, and there's these takedown tabs on both sides. As you see, we're going to pull those straight down, let go of the slide, pull the trigger, you'll see the slide disengage, push forward just a little bit and lift straight up. Okay, so this, keep in mind, this slide does not slide all the way off the front. Okay, it just pops straight up. Now we can set the frame down. We can go ahead and disassemble the slide by removing the recoil spring, removing the barrel from the slide, which if you notice, the TX22 removes apart like most semi-autos. Set the barrel down, and now your slide is disassembled. So now we can move into the cleaning process of your TX22. Now keep in mind, rim fires usually get a higher round count, and they're usually using a little bit more lead ammo, so these things could get a little bit more dirty. So we're just going to go ahead and take our solvent here. You can be pretty liberal with this when you're spraying it on, since we're just trying to break up all the carbon and dirt. So just going to spray it on the inside of the slide, onto the barrel itself, a little bit on the recoil spring, and then on the internal components of the frame. And you'll let that sit for just a second. Then you'll take your nylon brush, so nothing too abrasive, and then run that brush on the inside of the slide and all the components that you're trying to clean to try to lift up any hard to remove carbon or dirt, okay? You'll do that on all these components. Once you've completed that, you can go ahead and take a microfiber cloth and wipe off any of this excess solvent to prepare for the next step. And you'll see the carbon and dirt kind of coming off on your rag there. All right, next part, now that you've wiped off all the excess solvent, is we need to run a bore brush through this barrel, okay? You're gonna get a lot of buildup on the inside of these rimfire barrels, so it's good to keep these clean. So, process I normally like to do is just go ahead and take a copper brush that's made for a 22 caliber. I like to go ahead and take one of these patches and actually just wrap around this, this brush here. Take a little bit of that solvent, spray it on, and now when we push this through, we're going to go from the back to the front, okay? Push that straight through. I like to remove that and pull back through. All right, you can see the buildup that we have off there. Go ahead and wipe off any excess. All right. Now your TX22 is cleaned, but we still need to lubricate. So you're going to take your oil. We'll start with the slide here. Now remember, a little bit goes a long way. Okay, so just use drops at a time. I like to start on the slide rails itself, just a small application. And then right on the bottom part of this slide. Take that, rub it in with your finger. And you'll take your barrel. High contact points are going to be the front of the barrel hood here. in the top of the barrel. And rub that in. And I like to take just one little drop, kind of move it around the entirety of that barrel. Now remember, on the TX22 line, this is a threaded portion on this barrel, so it's good to make sure that's nice and tight if you're not running a suppressor. Next, we'll go ahead and add oil to the high friction points of the slide rails. Remember, just a drop. The front and rear, and then one on the components here. And then rub that in. All right, now it's been properly oiled, we can go ahead and reassemble the slide by taking your barrel. These lugs are going to point away from the top of the slide as it sits into place. Take your recoil spring, there's a polymer insert that's going to go towards the front of the slide. You'll insert in, push on the spring pressure, and make sure it sits properly in its notch. Now your slide has been reassembled. We can insert this back onto the frame. So if you look at the slide, there are going to be these cutouts in the middle of the slide and towards the back of the slide. These are going to line up with these notches on the frame. Okay, just like that, and then pull straight back. Now that your TX22 is reassembled, we can go ahead and go through a function check. So we'll go ahead and clear it, make sure the gun's still clear, point in safe direction, drop the striker, make sure the reset is still okay, everything is functioning properly. Now keep in mind, most rimfires out on the market you cannot dry fire, but the TX22 family you can. It's perfectly fine to dry fire this as much as you'd like. So now we can wipe off the excess oil. And your TX22 has been cleaned and lubricated.